Higher Density Living with Alexander McKegg and Jason Rigby. You are here in the studio. The mics are hot, and we have to talk about Raw today. But before we do that, I would like to thank all of the respective donors to Higher Density Living. Very much appreciated. I mean, it's been a long process, long haul, building a lot of this content. We're happy to do it.
Yeah, it's a new studio. We're looking at getting another studio. And we're I mean, it's just little things like we need a better computer. And so with your donations, help us to be able to get our message out. That's all we want from it, is to get the message out more and more.
This isn't about private jet trips. This is about us just teaching.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. That's the cool part. Like both of us, I mean, no bullshit. We're not mesmerized by money.
I have no
interest. That's the cool part. Like, as far
it's
as
just energy. I need to go about my day.
Yeah, that's all it is. But the cool part about the donation part, and I want people to understand this, is whenever you do something like, and you don't realize this, maybe you can't donate, but like on Apple Podcast, leaving a review is the number one thing that you can do.
That's like a donation.
It's like a donation. Well, it is. You're giving.
Yeah.
So, and Raw talks about this. Is giving and receiving is one. So, you want to receive, you give. It's like learn, teach, learn. It's the same as give, receive, give.
Yeah.
I just came up with that.
It's really nice.
Just copying the learn.
Yeah, you did.
Did you see how that worked?
You did a really good job with that. That's nice.
But I mean, like sharing things on social media, subscribing to our channels. But
I think we're pretty
leaving reviews.
We're objective.
Yeah.
There's no I mean, we're not like horrible to listen to.
No, and you guys can give us topics. Go hop on Instagram. Our social media manager would be more than happy to get those directly to us. You can email me, jason@higherdensityliving.com.
I would love to answer anybody's questions.
Yeah, yours is yours Alexander?
I think
or
so.
Alex.
Maybe Alex.
Yeah, I'll forward it. Just send it to me, jason@higherdensityliving.com, and I'll forward it to him, and we'll figure that out. Next episode, we'll get your email out.
Easy.
We want to create a community. That's what it's about. And we want to get this information out because we believe the law of one is the law.
Well, it's just one, which encompasses all. I don't really give I don't care about jaywalking. I don't care about having to stop at stop signs or law of gravity. I'm strictly interested in the law of one.
All laws are submissive to the law of one. Not talking about like the book or the channeling. I'm just talking about the law of one, the law of oneness.
It's oneness. It's just there. It's pretty obvious. It's logical.
So speaking of the law of one, we're going to get into book 1, session 16.
Oh, you surprised me. I don't have these memorized, so let's.
Yeah, we're going to go right into this. This is going to be great. Yeah. Questionnaire. I am assuming that it's not necessary for an individual to understand the law of one to go from the third to fourth density. Is this correct? Now, I don't want to have us get into a conversation about third to fourth. We've talked about that a bunch, but I want to get us into the word understanding and what that means and wisdom.
Ooh. Cool.
Raw, I am raw. It is absolutely necessary that an entity consciously realize it does not understand in order for it to be harvestable. Understanding is not of this density. So, questionnaire, recognizing here, that is a very important point. I used the wrong word. What I meant to say was that I believed that it was not necessary for an entity to be consciously aware of the law of one to go from third to fourth density. Raw, I am raw. This is correct. So what I wanted to stop you here, number one, is say this. And I want you to talk about this. This right here shows there's no dogma in the law of one teachings, because they would immediately responded if this was false and fake and all this stuff. No, they'd have been like, you need to read this book to gain salvation.
Great point. It's like the idea of like, you're only going to get through Hadrian's. What the hell are the gates up there called?
Hadrian's. I like that.
What are those? Probably a whole. What the hell are those gates called?
Hades, like
no. You're up there.
Oh, the pearly gates.
Pearly gates. You can't get through.
Peter's like hanging out St. Pete.
Yeah, big old beard, keys on him and shit.
Like an Irish looking dude.
Yeah. Welcome to the pearly gates. Yeah. But you're very good point here on the fact that there's no dogmatism to it, where it's not like, you have to do these specific things in order.
He's like, you don't even know. He says you don't have to be consciously aware of the law of one to go from third to fourth. And Ross said this is correct.
No, you could just naturally practice it without even being consciously aware
that's
of
what it's about. I read something yesterday. It's really interesting. The average human on social media in a day reads 176 newspapers worth, if you count all the words that they read.
Okay.
We have more spiritual knowledge than we've ever had. We know more spiritual knowledge. If somebody's like, a lot of us are interested in spiritual, you've read more than most gurus in the 1800s. How many books have they read on spiritual teachings? Maybe the Bible, Bhagavad Gita, maybe if they got a copy. maybe 10 books. Then they're reading like philosophy and different things like that. But
you're like, right now you have an opportunity. You're like uniquely positioned to cross test these books against themselves. You have so much material and so much opportunity for your own level of advancement. You never even have to read Ra. You could find other things.
Well, like
what? Like what?
You've communicated with their group and stuff like that. But Sadhguru.
Oh, Sadhguru.
Yeah, Sadhguru says you don't even need to read a book, that the book's in you.
Yeah, the best. I had said, I remember, I think one of our very first podcasts we did, I said the number one book you got to read is to learn to read the book yourself.
Yes, that's so true.
It's another strong metaphor, like the tree.
So now we're going to go to session 17. They're going to continue this.
Okay,
and
so
this
session
is really,
16
really cool.
tells you don't even have to, there's no dogma.
Yeah, but I want us to keep this word of understanding. And then you brought up a word that is extremely important. That's application.
Oh, I like that.
So Law of One, Book 1, Session 17, questionnaire. Is it possible by the use of some technique? This is our third dip.
Yeah,
we always need like a hack.
What are we going to do? What's the body hack?
By the use of some technique or other to help an entity to reach fourth density level in these last days. Raw, I am raw. It is impossible to help another being directly.
Isn't
that cool?
This is a very, very important point here.
Yeah.
So, say for instance, I will give two examples, one in the spiritual sense, and I will give one in the absolute normal, physical, objective, medical sense. Say somebody wants to go in and get Reiki hand healing.
Yes.
Okay? So, in this sense, the Reiki person is only the channel or the bridge to bring energy to that vessel, that person that wants the healing, but that person has to accept that healing and then use it where it needs to go.
Yes,
okay?
100%.
They're like, okay, here's the energy. I'm going to help bring it to you. This is for you to now.
I love this. Yes.
Okay. Now let's talk about the medical sense. A doctor can come in, open heart surgery, fuse put a bone back together. Doesn't matter what it is, put bolts in the body. But what does the body have to do? The body has to heal itself. The doctor's not actually doing the healing. It affords catalysts. It puts things in place. It opens up the optionality, but something could take or reject it. Much like if you were to do like an organ transplant, a body can still reject it. The body has to do the choice of the healing. So no other entity can actually come in and help another being directly. The being has to help itself. It has to take its own steps in evolution of consciousness, understanding, self-awareness, all of those things in healing. It's not for somebody else to do.
Well, Jesus
it's not
said
someone
that.
else's responsibility.
Jesus said because he would just walk around healing people all the time. And fourth density beings can do that. He goes, somebody came to him. They're like, oh, thank you. I mean, imagine, back in those days, that's a death sentence. There's so many, he healed so many people. But this person's like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you. You're amazing. You're the man. All this. Yeah. And he always deflected, because he wasn't an ego. Mm-hmm. He said, no. He's like, your faith has made you whole.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about the context of you, your understanding, and your own healing.
Because you can't go against your free will. So I can't heal you against your free will. You would have to have that.
What about those miraculous situations where they have that fountain in France where people will go to it and then sometimes they drink from it and they're miraculously healed? There's like a whole bunch of shit with it that the Vatican studies. But side point is, if somebody steps up out of a wheelchair that's been a cripple, they stepped up. They did the healing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
it's the power of themselves. So there's it's
the power of the mind.
Yeah. And so when this is going to sound so ass backwards, but to go out in the most philanthropic sense and say, I'm going to pour money into this, I'm going to give people all these things, I'm going to do all this, and this is going to heal them. It doesn't. Mm-mm. People have been shelling away money. Rich people have been shelling away money for years. Corporations have done it. But what? To what end? Nothing has actually directly helped because it's an internal thing that has to happen.
Yes.
Those people have to build that up within themselves to do that own healing and help.
It's like you can give
want it.
It's like you can give. I'm going to oversimplify it. Here we go. You can give somebody a gym membership. They can have a gym membership their whole life.
Boom. Exactly.
But they got to get up.
You got to get up and do it, right?
Yeah, which I just did.
Good for you.
Before I got here.
Yeah, you did it.
Yeah. So Ross says it isn't possible to help another being directly. It is only possible to make catalysts, what you're saying.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Available in whatever form. The most important being, so Ross saying this is the most important. So the most important being the radiation of realization of oneness with the creator from the self.
Ah, my gosh. That is so cool. All you have to do is walk around and recognize that you are inextricably interlinked and connected with everything in the material and non-material universe. And if you can see that in your relationships, in your thoughts, the way you look at the world, you're good. That's the frame of reference. Every action you will take will drive you closer to creation.
100%. And I keep bringing up Jesus, but I was taught, and then I'm seeing all these oneness teachings he taught now that I'm rereading everything. He said, "I am the vine, you are the branches." And so what he was talking about is, and then it's almost like the branches, the seed, the branches, the root system, the tree, the leaves, it's all one.
Yeah.
But when you look at the seed and you see the seed, how can it become a tree? It doesn't look even anything like a tree. It's like magic, kind of.
Remotely close.
Yeah, but this is creational laws.
To root itself. It has to choose to take to the soil. It has to choose to bring in the water.
Yes, 100%.
It has to choose to soften its shell, become vulnerable.
Yeah.
To become what it, this big, strong thing.
Because it is. It just is. It just responds to and this is what I was trying to get into, especially when it comes to oneness with the creator from the self. You're living a masked life. You're living a different person, and you're living schizophrenic when you live in the ego.
Oh, yeah.
The ego's tricking you. The ego is saying it's hijacked your body, it's hijacked your mind. It can't hijack your spirit, but it's giving these distortions and illusions that it is in control. I was driving up here to see you, and somebody behind me, this lady, she's like, slam. She's like, I'm going like 80.
Yeah.
We can go 80 here on the freeways. That's normal.
Totally.
So I'm going 80. This person gets right behind me. She's in like a Jeep Cherokee, flashing her lights, slamming the dash at the same time. I know how she had her hand on her steering wheel, and she's trying to drink like a Starbucks and like 6 inches from my bumper, like just flashing her lights. So I get over really fast, and she's like, whoa, and then on to the next person. And it's just like, that's such a manifestation. It's like, were you in a hurry to get to? One,
for what?
Yeah, you're just being reactive in life. And all of that fight or flight, all of that is just the fear, the anger, the sorrow. Those are the three main emotions we have. All of those things are all ego.
Just living in one big illusion.
That's what it is.
That's all it is. But people define their lives on it. They define their egos on it, right? Everything. But social constructs.
But don't you think this realization, because that's a big word, the realization of oneness with the creator from the self, don't you think the realization part is the part that we work on in the application every day of choosing to have an attitude of gratitude, choosing to stop and look at creation, choosing to look at the person that you may have ill will feelings for, but you're showing love to them.
The idea is simple, okay? The practice is difficult because there's so much societal influence, family influence, relationship influence that can drag you out of this frame of reference. So you need to create the mechanics in your mind, the affirmation of going back to the repeated thoughts. So your world is framed in a creational idea.
And he says this, less important being information such as we share with you.
Yeah, like Donald.
He's like, I know this information, like we're valuing this information. He goes, less important than this information is you realizing.
Yeah. Like Donald asked all these questions, ask about history. He was like, well, it doesn't fucking matter. All that really matters is that you understand the oneness of the self with everything else. Everything else it's frivolous compared to it. It's incomparable.
Then he says, we ourselves do not feel an urgency for this information to be widely disseminated. There's no urgency in
it's like the lady
sixth density.
It's like the lady in the Jeep Grand Cherokee, right?
Yeah, that's an urgency.
Yeah, what do you have the urgency for? Your life is like.
Well, she's probably late because it was like 8:15. It was like 8 o'clock because I got here at 8:15.
Yeah, she got up late.
It's reactive. That's the ego.
It's reactive life.
She stayed up too late last night, being in ego, watching Netflix.
This is an awesome hypothetical. I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like everybody is just reactive. This is extremely ample reward for if one of these obtains fourth density understanding due to this catalyst, then we shall have fulfilled the law of one.
Yeah. So
one person.
This is again non-dogmatic. This is an extremely important point, and it also teaches you a level of patience and timelessness with which this social memory complex lives within. It is not important in this world to change 1,000 minds or 1 million. Their job is done if one person can see the level of creation.
Yes.
Right? If they can absolutely bring it into their perspective.
What does Raw say right here?
The attempt, if it reaches one, it reaches all. Why is that? Because say, for instance, with you and me, you and I have an understanding of this, but what do? We go out and we teach it.
Yes.
We live that experience. And
but,
by living
but we're learn, teach, learn.
Right. By living that experience, people can then look at us.
Yes. And
then learn from that. And the group doesn't have to do anything. No, it's just like a seed that's been planted. It just goes out.
It goes out. That's why our podcast is growing.
And my children will know this and everything else of the sort.
Exactly.
So, yeah, okay.
And then he says, we cannot offer shortcuts to enlightenment.
There are no fucking shortcuts. Every time I sit down to meditate, and I've been doing it for years, I think to myself, man, can you like fast track this? No, you can't.
No,
I'm always curious.
There's no scaling up.
No, I'm always curious, but even though I know I can't, it's a game of long practice and patience.
Yeah, and here's wisdom to me. This is the definition of wisdom. Enlightenment is, of the moment, an opening to intelligent infinity.
That's great.
To me, intelligent infinity and being tapped into your higher self, that's wisdom.
That is wisdom. Why? Because you found the way to do that. You have the self-awareness. You have the focus. You have the realization of creation.
And then what's going to come out of you will be wisdom.
Has to.
I mean, you're just a conduit then.
That's what I want. I want to be just being one creational conduit.
It can only be accomplished by the self for the self.
So that goes back to earlier when we talked about it's impossible to help another being directly. And then if you go here, it says it can only be accomplished by the self for the self.
It's the old Wayne Dyer thing I say all
You're
the
listening
time.
to us. We're not going to heal you.
Yeah,
we're not going to solve your problems.
No.
It's for you to do. You need to be responsible.
Well, if I come in and I can become the victimizer by trying to help the victim because I go against their free will. And then I'm coming in trying to be the hero. Then they're viewing the guru or whoever as the external that helped them. So now they've become dependent off those teachings or whatever it is, instead of them seeing that they've healed themselves or they've created enlightenment within and of themselves.
Do you know what would be a win for us? If people listened to one episode of us, figured it out, and never listened to us ever again, but shared it with everybody.
Oh, 100%.
Fuck yeah. I don't need you to come back every day.
No.
I don't want you to come back every day. Go figure it out yourself. The only reason you and I talk so much is because we want to have so many examples, so many things, so many ways which we can, in possibilities that we may connect with a new person and a new frame of which they can ingest it.
Yeah, and he said another self cannot teach, learn enlightenment, but only teach, learn. So you can teach, learn, like we can go over this and we can make it, this was done in the 1980s, so we can make it in a different format.
Yeah.
Like we're swearing and,
normal.
You're 30 now, right?
31.
30. Oh, that's what's yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, my birthday was like 2 days ago.
Was it 2 days ago?
2 days
Should have told you happy birthday. I forgot.
Nah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. I got plenty of who knows which one this is in this meat suit. Really.
Yeah, well, Jesus died at 33. So Alexander the Great died when?
32.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got one more year left, bro.
That's fucking awesome. Hopefully a mosquito don't get me in the neck,
Yeah. Well, I looked up. This was interesting. This is funny. This is the weird stuff I look up. What is the leading cause of deaths in national parks? I was looking this up 2 nights ago.
Falls?
No, falls are really low, actually. I thought it was falls, too.
Oh, I thought it would have been falls.
Drowning is number one. By far, like 800 people. You know how many animals? 8.
Really? I can see the drowning thing. The reason I say this is because, like, when I was up at the Grand Tetons, there's huge bodies of glacial lakes.
Yes.
People are going to swim in them. You know what I mean?
Rapids.
Yeah, or
kayaking.
What about people kayaking through the bottom of the Grand Canyon? Drown.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, and then how many lakes and ponds and rivers?
Oh,
what's the ones in the Zion National Park? I think people get nailed with like the water's contaminated or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's something with that. Like dogs die from it.
Where else was I?
I heard something of that. I don't know.
Yellowstone's got a ton of water.
Oh yeah. They got sulfur.
Last thing I want to do is like drown in like a geyser area.
Oh yeah. That would be
just boiling my skin off.
I've almost drowned like 2 or 3 times in my life.
I know.
So I know for me, like an animal's never gotten me. I've got bit by a dog once, but an animal's never really gotten a hold of me. But the drowning I've had multiple times.
Yeah.
So falling, I get vertigo now for some reason.
Really?
I don't know why. I need to work on it. And I don't understand why all of a sudden.
Is it all the Hitchcock films you've been watching?
No, it's like when I'm hiking, if I get near an edge, I feel super, because I used to not be afraid of heights at all. I mean, I was jumping from freaking airplanes and helicopters. Stuff. But I get like woozy feeling. My legs kind of get shaky and I feel like I'm unstable.
Oh, cool.
So I don't want to get near there.
Oh yeah, avoid.
Yeah.
You'd be the falling statistic.
Yeah. I don't want. So information.
Jason Rigby, the statistic.
Yeah, you'll be on here by yourself. Well, we fell hiking.
Thank you for joining High Density Living. You're here with Alexander McKeag.
Oh, you know what another big one is? That's higher than, it's 200 something people, suicide in national parks.
That seems about right.
Yeah, and then natural death causes is even higher.
So, yeah, you know what I mean?
Because 65-year-olds.
You know how many people going there, retirees, like having a heart attack, walking around at elevation?
Yeah.
I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
They're coming out of their Winnebago view. Great morning, drop dead.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So those are
just
some fun facts.
Yeah.
Useless facts from Jason Rigby again. Information, inspiration are a sharing of love of mystery of the unknown. That makes the other self reach out and begin the seeking process that ends in a moment. Oh. But who can know when an entity will open the gate to the present?
I think you and I talked about this maybe a couple episodes back. The only thing you ever have is the moment. Yeah. The only thing you have. But so many of us live in the future or they live in the past. Mm-hmm. I guess my hand gesture should have been this way and then this way. But when you do that, it's this like really toxic idea that you're living for tomorrow. It'll be better tomorrow. It'll be this, or, or even like I live in my past and I'm always thinking about tomorrow, but never in the moment. Because
save and suffer.
Yeah. And what you do is it removes you from the present moment, which is really the only thing you actually own. So you never take the time to focus on the self. You can't focus on the self if you don't focus on the moment.
Yes.
You can think about the future, but the future is hypothetical. It's actually an untrue figure of you.
That's so good.
You can think about your past, but you have no control over that. So, and that's no longer you. You've changed. In some sort of way, you have changed. So being a part of the moment. And that's the great question that, Ra had stated, but who can know when an entity will open the gate to the present? Because when you do that, that's when the information, the inspiration, the sharing of love and mystery and the unknown, that great exploration.
Well, it's not our responsibility.
No.
And like I said, a long time ago, and I'm not going to get into the story, but like Wayne Dyer said, great spiritual teaching. I'm reading a new book from him. Well, not a book I've never read because he's passed away. He's like, I'm a Taoist master. I can't help you.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't help you.
Can't help.
Because one, I'll go against your free will. And number two, you need to learn, you need to be in this catalyst now to work through this distortion. Mm-hmm. Because the only way you're going to understand higher self and love and oneness is to go through this.
It's for you to work through it.
And it makes it's so beautiful. Like, this is something I've really learned this year is I don't need to stick my hands in every single thing.
No.
I don't need to be involved in every little thing and because it just creates stress in my own life. Mm-hmm. It's like, I can't help you. Like, no, it'll figure itself out.
It'll do. Yeah. Like, Amanda, she came in the other day, the dog ripped its fucking nail like straight in half.
You have so many cool, like, horror dog stories.
Oh, I have plenty of them.
There's always something going on.
The thing is fucking gushing. It's disgusting. And she's like, oh my God, what do we do? I said, leave it alone. It's like, the dog can't walk. Okay, let the dog sit down and heal. Let the dog lick at the wound, soften it, and yank the nail out. Dogs will do that. Let it do its thing. What happened? All the worry, cornstarch here, we got to bring it. No, just leave it. What happened? Totally fucking healed.
Yeah, well, that's
crazy
creation.
Blood gushing, just let it happen.
That's adaptation. The dog in itself knows.
I love the dog so much, but the dog understands the catalyst of pain. So it's now for the dog to go fix it. If it's an event that the dog's arm is snapped in half, well, it'd be great to use modern medicine to come in and help the dog to set it so I don't have to put it down. But this is a nail. You know what I mean? But again, just like one of those little metaphors.
I love that one. That one's really cool.
Yeah, I got a bunch of these stories. So,
questionnaire. If an entity wants to be of service to others rather than service to self, while he is in this third density, are there, look at this, here we go again, best ways.
Yeah, best practices. Here's your top 10. It's like stupid articles online.
Of being of service to others, or is any way just as good as any other way? Okay, I'm like, this is
what's funny? Question. Don's asking. He already knows how Ra's going to answer.
Yeah. Well, that's why he said that last part. Versus any other way is any other way.
Yeah, it's like, come on.
Raw, I am raw. The best way to be of service to others has been explicitly covered in previous material.
Why are we repeating this? And it's funny because Rod's like, we have limited time,
Right.
limited energy from the instrument
Yes.
on a very narrow bandwidth. Why are you asking the same repeat questions?
Yeah, because he's wanting a hack. So he's like, we will iterate briefly. Probably, I could imagine, but they're not frustrated, obviously, because they're doing it in love. But the
Good
best
word choice, iterate.
Yeah,
They've already
iterate.
done it.
Yes,
So we'll do it again.
Yeah. The best way of service to others is the constant attempt to seek to share the love of the Creator as it is known to the inner self.
So again, if you know it yourself deeply, live as that example and walk around and be that example.
That's it.
No, not that
That's
hard.
service, because like service to self and service to others, we talk about this all the time. And I've had people where I've shared this and they're like, well, I need to do, like, the minute I say service to others, they're like, I need to do more for people.
Come on.
That's not what he's talking about. You need to go to a food shelter and help. Now, if you want to do that in love and that's something that you feel compelled to do, that's great. But you're not doing it in love. Your ego will hijack you and use your spiritual principles against you.
Mm-hmm.
It's smart like that. It's going to be like, hey, you know what? You should feel guilty because you're not doing it. You're not spiritual enough.
Go help the homeless.
Yeah, you need to go help these.
It's like one of these things, right? Nurses. If you go outside of hospitals, you see like a nurse smoking on their break. How is this person going to help me if they can't help themselves properly? They can't. And for the nurse can't really help others. They can't really, everything is going to be a facade.
Yes.
Because there's no true learning going on internally. They're damaging themselves. And the moment that they have, that brief moment, they're going to take their moment to damage themselves.
Well, I mean, they're constantly damaging themselves. I dated a nurse for a while, and they just constantly order food together, because they're so busy in the hospital and stuff, because it's turned into like a factory. We like to turn things into factories.
Yeah, and to be clear, I'm not diminishing the work that they do. Important to keep people alive and healthy.
Right.
But when I'm talking here in like just a metaphor of like, hey, the best way in service of others is the constant attempt to seek and share the love of the Creator as is known in the self. You don't know it in the self if you're acting like that. You're doing something hypocritical or putting the ego in the way.
But and Alexander, I think this is the important part what you just hit on. You're doing it to gain some type of emotional feel-good response.
Don't do it for gain.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Do it because it is the creational thing to do, not because you need to get something
You're
from
lacking
it.
something.
Yeah, because you're lacking from it, because there's an emptiness. Creation gives you everything you need.
It's like, I've talked to moms. Moms have a tendency to do this when their kids get older. They empty nest syndrome. Because your identity was so built around your children. Mm-hmm. And you live just like, well, fuck my husband. I'm staying in the relationship for the kids, or fuck my wife, I'm going to, be in this relationship for the kids, whatever. Mm-hmm. I talked to a guy the other day. He was like, so he like almost had hatred in his heart for his wife, but then he absolutely loved his kids.
It hurts me.
Yeah. But he was going on and on about his kids and talking about how much he loved them and stuff like that. And then his wife brought the whole continent's changed,
How do you possibly love your kids properly if you can't love your wife?
Yeah, exactly.
Good old hypocritical thing here.
But I mean, it's interesting. It's this whole dynamic of suffering, duty. I need to do this, what we begin to do is, and this as well as I do, is we begin, because I fight this all the time inside of myself, is I'm trying to seek external validation in my service to others. Mm-hmm. My ego wants to be recognized. It wants somebody to say to me, oh, you're doing an awesome job. I try to be careful. You always compliment me all the time with my work I do. But I always try to be careful with those compliments, because it's like, I have to look at them and say, oh, okay, he's just being thankful. But I can't, if I start getting like this giddy little emotion inside of myself.
I'm not trying to.
That's bullshit. Yeah, I know that. I know you're not. You're being truthful.
I'm just thankful for what's going on.
But I mean, it's like, even on my response to that is wrong, and it's ego, and that's something that it just gives me an opportunity to learn in that moment, because I have to look at it and say, he's just responding in gratitude based off of the work that was done.
Correct.
And I'm being narcissistic and putting myself in there. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you fucking narcissist.
I know. Yeah. We all got a tendency of that. The Jordan Peterson calls it the dark triad. So he talks about like people that are extremely narcissistic, people that are extremely sadistic, and then people that are narcissistic. Oh, Machiavellian.
So what happens if I'm like dead in the center of all three?
then you're like you could become president of the United States.
Snap.
Yeah, they're just manipulating people all the time. So the best way to serve others is a constant attempt to seek to share the love of the Creator is known from the inner self. This involves self-knowledge and the ability to open the self to the other self without hesitation.
Yeah. So I have with me, Jason, you've seen this. When people interact with me that are new to me, I just give them who I am. And what happens?
Yeah, you're really good that way. Yeah.
They either drive themselves away because it's
too much.
It's too much, or they're like, wow.
They're really drawn to you.
They're really drawn to you.
You create like a polarizing.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah.
I always think
I think in the best way possible. I'm just trying to be as truthful and honest, about myself. I'm being who I am.
You're radiating.
I'm radiating like a sun. Yes.
No, but I've always noticed that about you. I mean, you're extroverted, so that helps. And I'm introverted, so it's funny to watch you. But I've always admired that about you, is your ability to be able to communicate with people right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like you can just go right into it.
There's because I don't have to put on a facade or break the ice. It's like, no, let's just work.
Well, I don't think you have fear when you meet someone.
Honestly,
it worries me. Like I think about it and then I have to be like, okay, what am I going to say? No. Okay, this person is this. Like you told me we have a Monday meeting.
Yeah.
So I got to go look it up.
No,
who this person is. Like,
I don't even look up people's backgrounds.
I know. Yeah.
I'm just there to meet them. New personality, fun.
Yeah, it's fun for you. To me, it's like I'm deep about it.
Because I don't know anything about them. I get to learn.
Yeah, exactly.
What's better for me? I love asking questions.
Yeah, you're good at that too. Yeah. This involves, shall we say, and then we'll be done after this, radiating that which is the essence or the heart of the mind, body, spirit complex. Speaking to the intention of your question, the best way for each seeker in third density to be of service to others is unique to that mind, body, spirit complex.
Oh, so there's no general way, statistically normalized way for all of us to say, yay, let's go into fourth density. No, it's totally specific to you. Your own path, your own gestalts, your own archetypes, your own learnings.
I want to take extreme case and piss some people off. Can we do this?
Yeah.
Let's take a serial killer in third density.
Yep.
And let's take the victim of the so-called victim of the serial killer.
Oh my goodness.
So this is a unique mind, body, spirit complex.
Very.
The serial killer by killing is learning. The victim by only being here for 20 years, 22 years, 50 years, however old they are, and they die in their meat suit is learning.
Correct.
Both of them, there's no mistakes done in the universe. Both of them learned.
Yes.
And there was a catalyst for learning in both of those situations. Absolutely. And that sounds like that's super extreme. But
no, it is extreme. And even though it ended in the elimination of life, physical life.
For both, usually both end up dying.
Yeah, they both end up dying usually. It's just the unique experience that you choose to live. Like, who knows? Maybe in a previous life I was in fucking Crusades or something.
Well, Genghis Khan. I mean,
he
has most of the population.
Yeah,
most of the people share his DNA in Asia, they say. And then also on top of that, how many millions did he kill?
Yeah,
hundreds of thousands.
Think about this: like, people still, salute the American flag. The Iraqi war, what did we kill? 300,000 children? You still salute that? The fuck?
Yeah, I'm watching the new Netflix documentary. It just came out yesterday, I think, on Waco.
Ooh.
So good.
Wow. Juicy.
Because it's interviewing it's showing all the footage on the ground. It's interviewing the ATF. And then it's interviewing ex-members of the Branch Davidian.
Yeah.
And you could just see both sides. Ego. Like David Koresh is like, I need you to put this on national air. After he gets shot up, his first response to the guy is, I need this to be put on the radio and on national television about how I'm the Messiah.
It's
just so ego. And then the ATF guys are like, they're just coming in there. There's women and children in this compound, and they're just like shooting blindly. Like that's one thing you learn in the military. You make sure when you they're just shooting at a building. Everybody's just like
ridiculous.
It's like, you have line of sight. You have a target in place.
You
don't pull your trigger unless it's an intent to kill.
That's what it is.
And you have a clarity to kill.
You're throwing a projectile at high speeds to stop something. But, it's really hard to reconcile the fact and respect human beings that they're allowed to make choices. Whether they are right or wrong choices, whether they are good or bad, you have to respect it. Much like you have the ability to make choices. and they are catalysts. They are learning. They could be very difficult learnings. They could be learnings that are tremendously sad. Learnings where someone died. There's many different footholds, but they're all unique, and you need to respect that uniqueness.
Yeah, and as a parent, and you're watching a child struggle, that can be super sad and make you worry and all those things. I mean, my girlfriend's going through that. I told you that she's going through that with one of her daughters, and it's with addiction and abuse and stuff like that. Whenever you look at that, it's so sad, and you want to help and step in, and you worry, and there's a lot of tears shed and a lot of late nights where you can't sleep and you have dreams about them. I mean, I'm experiencing this with her. She's going through this, and you want to do something as a mom.
Yeah,
you want to reach out. This is my daughter. Like, I need to help. I gotta help.
She is there, and the daughter knows that the mom is always there to help. That's obvious.
Yeah, obvious. Yeah,
but the daughter
there's always been love.
The daughter doesn't want the help.
No,
it's not the choice she wants to make.
Yes.
You can't force her to do that. You know what I mean? But
yeah, I was like, my philosophy is like, let's kidnap her, get her in a car, and just keep driving until she gets clear of the drugs, or something like that. That's my idea of stuff. But
it's like those.
We don't want to go with my ideas.
No, it's like those things where like wealthy families would like have their kids abducted at night.
Yeah,
and then they're brought on like a cross country trip to teach them like responsibilities and stuff like that. Don't hate it.
Yeah, no, I kind of like low key love that.
Don't hate it. But are we done with this?
Let's do one more real quick. This means that the mind-body-spirit complex must then, because this will end it right here.
Yeah.
Seek within itself the intelligence of its own discernment as to the way it may best serve other selves. This will be different for each.
Right. So it's not like we all need to go to the homeless shelter. We all need to put together baskets. We all have to go help out at church. We all have to donate our time in this fashion. There's many different ways you can help. You could be of service to creation by being a farmer. You could do it through your job. You could do it by holding a door for somebody or everybody that you see. It doesn't matter, really. All that you need to do is you need to find that thing that aligns you most with your higher self, with creation, which balances out the mind, body, spirit complex and frames your perspective so that it is one of a teach, learn, learn, teach. That's all. And you're doing your job.
All is one.
All is one. Thank you very much, everybody.